Hey guys, I think it's time. So I am Melissa Cynova. How's it going? I am the author of Kitchen Table Tarot and Tarot Elements and the book Kitchen Table Magic, which is coming out this fall. I have been doing magic since I was a tiny little girl, and I used to go into my grandpa's woods and make potions out of rainwater and sticks and mud. And I decided when I was making them that they would change my life, that they would do something that could make my life better or safer or more secure. And it was that deciding that was the magic. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine named Karen Rontowski, who has a great podcast called Paranormal Karen. And she said, I've always wanted to do magic, but I always felt like I didn't have time to take classes or join any kind of order or something like that. And I got kind of confused. And I said, I generally do magic by just throwing salt at shit. I've never really taken any classes. I've never really formalized my magic because my magic is not formal. It's something that comes from within me. So that's what I wrote this book about. You don't have to do anything except for recognize the fact that you have magic and that you are magic. So this book was written without any spirituality or religion attached to it because I think everybody's got their own flavor of that. And magic is really inherent to who you are. So you just have it, like you have eyes. And I think that what I wanted to do with this book is hand you back the magic that you found yourself when you were small. It also touches on grandma magic, which is what I call it. But it's really that folk magic that moves through generations. So I have a friend whose Nana, she's Italian, whose Nana would tie red strings around the baby's cribs and beds. And they never talked about it. Like the family didn't talk about it. She did it to keep away evil spirits and to protect the baby. But it was just something that was done. And in the meantime, Nana is going to church every Sunday and doesn't allow like any magical books in the house, but she's doing the spell to protect her family at the same time. And I found that happens in almost every culture. My family is Polish primarily, and I would always catch my grandmother whispering prayers. And I didn't find out until I was researching this book that that's actually a Polish form of magic, that if you whisper the spell, the angels and the good spirits will hear what you're having to say, and they'll carry your magic up to, wherever they live. So those little forms of magic are all in the book. I've also got superstitions that are like regional. I was trying when I first started to make the book like, this is from Ozark area, this is from the Appalachian area, this is from the Gullah folks. And really those spells are so old and so shared that I would look up one spell and find it in 5 different cultures and in 5 different regions. So the salt thing is everywhere. Salt is always seen as a way to clear space, clear energy, and to protect yourself. And I used it one time when I saw something out of the corner of my eye in my window, and I walked by and there it was again. And it was giving me that feeling like you're being looked at, And after the 3rd or 4th time of feeling that kind of thing looking at me, I went in the kitchen and I grabbed a fistful of salt and I threw it out the window and I told it to fuck off, and off it fucked. So using salt is something that in magic and in spells is something that is found all over. And I think that those kind of magics are our heritage, really. They've been passed down for so long that they have meaning. They take up space. And I feel like folk magic in particular has been kind of overlooked or simplified. And I compare it kind of to art. So if you go in a museum and you're looking at the fine art, it's mostly from white men and mostly from people who had money and resources. And if you look at the folk art, that's indigenous folks or women. And I think that that translates pretty clearly to magic, because there's high magic, which is ceremonial, which again is kind of dominated by white males. And then you have folk magic, which is the magic of putting your hand over a seed to make a 5-pointed star and saying a prayer so that it grows. And it's the magic of whispering a prayer over your child before you put them to bed at night and saving their teeth, so that you have some connection to them so you can help protect them. My son had a really nasty accident at the beginning of the spring. And the first thing I did was take his little baby teeth collection that I have and put it on my altar with a candle. And he's fine. And the reason I think he's fine is, first, he was wearing a helmet, but also I put everything I had as his mother into protecting that boy, into making sure that he was watched over. So putting the power back into the hands of you and allowing you to grab onto magic and pull it out of yourself, instead of looking out into the world for someone to put you through training or something like that. It's inherent. It's part of who you are. And that's what this book is about. I have a spell that there's a lot of unrest going on in the world today. And I talked a little bit about it on my podcast with my friends, Hillary and Jamie. And as you know, 3 white women in the middle of this Black Lives Matter movement, what can we do? And we talked about how we can use our voices to lift up Black creators and artists and authors in our community. And we talked about how we can make sure that when we create something, that it is as diverse as the world around us. And one of the things that we talked about is how angry we are. There's a certain kind of power in anger. And if it sits for too long, you start to feel impotent. You start to feel like your anger is running you instead of you using it as a tool. So the tool that I use and the spell that I use when I'm angry is called I Am So Angry. And I learned this from my friend Sarah Kate, because I had a situation in my life that made me absolutely furious. And I didn't know what to do with that, like within the law, not pounding on anybody, not being outrageous and getting myself in trouble, but I had to channel it somewhere. So what I do is I get like a mason jar or a bottle that I can see through, and I get a Sharpie and I write everything that I'm angry about on that glass jar or bottle. And it needs to be glass because we're going to break some shit. Generally, when I tell people to do a spell, like I ask them to calm down, to go to their quiet place, to focus. And for this spell, I say, fuck your quiet place. Be angry, be mad, because that's the fuel for your spell. And when you write on this jar or bottle, everything that you're angry about, use all the bad words, get it all out, and then go to a dumpster or a fire pit or someplace that's contained. Put on your, eyeglasses. Don't throw glass around without your eyes being protected. And then scream from in here, from way down deep. Scream as loud as you can and smash that jar. That is magic, because you're taking your anger and you're getting it out of your body in a way that won't hurt anybody else. This spell is super simple, super cheap, and it's something that you can do as often as you need to. And if you can't scream, like if you live in an apartment complex with 200 other people and it might freak them out, I scream into a pillow. And but it's important to get the vocalization out with the jar, smashing, because it's about freeing yourself so that you can think clearly. And then the next step of the spell is to do something. Doing something can be as easy or difficult as writing a letter to whatever you're angry at and then burning it. It can be as easy or difficult as calling an attorney to see if you have legal ground. Like, you have to have an action step when you have magic. So I always think that there are 3 stages to magic. There is the thinking of it. There are the words that are involved. It's called a spell for a reason. And then there is the action step. So with I am so angry, your thoughts are already vulcanized, galvanized by your anger. And you can use that to direct the action. And then after that, what will you do now? You found a channel for your anger. You were able to smash things. Now what are you going to do? Now you call your senator, your congressman, whoever. Now you march if you're able. Now you write a letter and get everything out and then burn it and allow that letter to be released. There are so many things that you can do after the spell that allow you to free yourself of that fury. And I think that anger is a really good fuel. So I always see these things online and they're just like, just be calm, be chill. Well, there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for calm, and there's a time and place for fury. And I think especially in this country, women or folks who are more feminine are often told to zip it, sit on your hands and be nice, which is another way of telling you to be quiet and scream inside. And I think that there is a difference between nice and kind. Nice means that you are all zipped up, and kind means that you have boundaries for yourself and other people. So using those boundaries and making certain that you're not damaging yourself or anyone else is a wonderful way to channel anger, sorrow, rage, and get it out into the world without hurting yourself. So that's one of the spells that I have in this upcoming book that feels pretty pertinent today. I also have, I use a lot of stones. One of my friends calls me a geomancer because I'm always like, you're having a bad day, have some selenite. And the reason that I use stones so much is because they're very accessible and they also give you something to hold. I think that one of the, I'm kind of a skeptic, ironically, when it comes to like even tarot. Before I get a reading from somebody, I'm like, well, let's see how this is going to go. Because I can't explain why it works. I can explain like that it works, that I'm really good at it, and that I have a lot of good readings in my past. So I have a lot of anecdotal evidence, but the why of it has to land on faith. And I have enough skepticism to say, okay, so if I hold this rock, everything's going to be better. The thing with rocks and crystals and all of the accoutrements that come along with magic is that you don't need them, but they help. And it's kind of like doing a tarot reading. Like I used to do tarot readings when I'd been drinking and was in the back of the car on the way to a concert. And the readings were okay. They were accurate and they were okay. And then I found that if I light a candle that smells really good, I can be more centered. If I have a labradorite, which is my favorite stone, and I have it on me all the time, then I find myself more focused. Even the shuffling of the cards is part of the magic of a tarot reading because that helps the person get into the zone and to calm down. It's a very relaxing exercise. So all of the actions and all of the tools of magic, of tarot, of witchcraft, basically help you get to where you're going in a more smooth kind of way. So I did the thing with Madame Pomida, who I just adore. And the way she explained it is that if you go into a party where you don't know anybody, you can still be there. You can still be yourself. If you go into a party with your friends, stones, smoke, candles, the moon in the right place, then you have a posse with you and you can walk in with more confidence. So I think that if we see the tools of magic as supplemental instead of something that is necessary, it will open the door for a lot more people who might feel a little disenfranchised. Candles are expensive, and if I can help somebody visualize a candle or visualize that flame and find their center in themselves and of themselves, then they're already in the same place than they would if they had an actual candle there with them. The same with stones. Like, my favorite stones are ones that my kids found for me in the garden. So I have all of these fancy, pretty crystals and stuff because I'm a magpie. But when I'm doing magic, I look for the rock that my son found for me on the beach, or I look for the stone for my driveway that my daughter gave me and painted. And those have as much inherent magic in them as the selenite or the labradorite because they were given with love. So yeah, magic is accessible. Magic is yours to own. And it's something that if you tap into it inherently, you can move on to different groups, to different organizations. You know, if you find that you work better with a coven, then you can take your own inherent magic and meet up with them. I've got 3 friends, Sarah, Kate, Ellen, and Potter, and Ryan sometimes. And when we get together, it becomes almost like an accidental coven meeting because we get together to have brunch, and pretty soon our conversations go to where we're struggling in our lives and things that we're working on. And when that happens, you know, candles start getting passed around, and I brought this stone for you, and I'll hold space for you. I'll give you strength for that. And that's the kind of friendship that builds a good magical community, because it's not about what you have, it's what you can share. And it's not about who you know, but about who you connect with, because we're all just looking for connection, you know? And having a group of friends that are supportive and loving and will listen to all of your bullshit and call you on it if they need to, is part of that magic too. I think that I kind of shied away a little bit writing this book because I thought, you know, I'm totally coming out of the broom closet and I live in the Midwest, but I think that it's resonating with people because we all have this. We all have that connection to the earth, to the moon, to each other. And magic is just a way for us to be in charge of what we're going through and of what comes out of us. So I love it. I love talking about it. I love living it. I'm looking at my altar right now. And I think that allowing myself to be the most powerful person in my life is a conscious decision that it took me a long time to get to. Because I think a lot in our lives, we cover ourselves with what folks have said about us or what people believe about us. And magic allows you to see yourself as the driver in your life, and you can peel all of that other stuff away. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to follow you around. You can decide, that capital D deciding, like I did when I was a little girl, and I decided that my potion would make me strong. I didn't drink it though, because I wasn't stupid. Mud water is not good for anyone. But I decided that if I built this potion and I mixed in mushrooms and an acorn cap, that I would be strong and valuable and important. And then I was, because it was the believing of it that made it happen. And I lost that for a while. I lost that while I was growing up and when I went through puberty, and it got kind of weird. But I'm a grown up now, and I understand that I'm creating my own destiny and that I am the most powerful force in my life. And if other spirits or folks want to chime in, I'm always happy to hear them, but I'm still driving and I'm still in charge. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I wanted this book to go out, because I know that there are folks out there like me. And I know there are folks who feel like they're maybe not enough or struggling and not sure how to control what's going on in their life. And magic is one way to do that. So I think we're going to open up for questions, and boy, I timed that great in 30 seconds. Woo! So the chats are back up. Do you guys have any questions for me? I'll just sit here and look cute until you do. You're awesome. Thank you. I love you too, Hillary. Oh, thank you. I like Kitchen Table Tarot too. That's very cool. Yeah, the title's a little bit of a misnomer because I don't actually cook, and I only go into kitchen to steal jars from my husband and make stuff with them and put stuff in them. So, yay. This is all awesome. How do I deal with others' negativity? I listen to RuPaul. If they're not paying my bills, I don't pay them any mind. What is the poster behind me? Hold on, slow down. The poster behind me, this is Ben Folds, and that's Ike Riley. My favorite way to add magic to your workspace. This is actually a really great way to sneak magic into into your office and figure out who you can talk to about weird shit. So you bring in a pretty rock, right? And you put it on your desk. And then Karen comes by and says, oh, what a pretty rock. And you're like, yeah, Karen's a muggle. And then another person comes by and says, oh my God, that's selenite. That clears the area. And they're like, boom, boom, I can connect with this person. So it's a really good cheat. I love using rocks as a way to figure out who the muggles are. I'm trying to scroll up and look at your stuff. Hey, girl. Hey. What's up, Adria? What's up, girl? Name of my book is called Kitchen Table Magic. There's a black cat on the thing. I have 4 black cats around here, and they're all annoying me. I do have a morning ritual. My morning ritual is I lay in bed and I do this meditation by Dr. James Doty, D-O-T-Y. And it's kind of a visualization of these are my toes, these are my feet, here I am in this body. And I take like 5 minutes to get present in my body and see how I'm doing. And that sets me up for the rest of the day. I also use it to manifest things. Like my day is going to go like this. And then it does, because I'm a strong, powerful witch. Yay. Let's see. What am I eating during quarantine? Nothing good. Nothing good, sis. Nothing good. I am eating like my husband and my daughter have gotten me hooked on avocado toast with a fried egg on it. So mostly that. I may have pounded down a pint of Cherry Garcia last night. I was watching Drag Race. It's not my fault. Let's see. When I get angry and I write the letter, do I give them the letter? Girl, okay. So you can give them the letter. Just recognize that by passing that anger on, that is another action, right? So I've written letters to people in my life, sometimes 7 or 8 times, because they really pissed me off. The point is not to do something to them, at them, against them. The point is to do something productive with that anger so it doesn't eat you, right? So if you burn it, it's gone. You might have to burn it a few times, but understand that your responsibility with magic extends with every action. So if you write an angry letter and you give it to that asshole, you've started something that's going to come back. And I'm not like a huge believer in the rule of 3. I think that there is some, like I said, a little skeptical, but I think that you're grown and you have responsibilities. And if you're going to hand a fire to someone, you better expect it to come back to you. Oh, I'm glad you like Kitchen Table Tarot. Nah. All right. Old crone. I love old crones. I myself am an old crone. All that magic was ours, man. We just had to go get it again. Let's see. All the crystals I like. Hillary knows where to get me. I like labradorite the best. I like rocks. Jasper is one of my best friends. I love jasper, especially painted jasper. I love I like selenite a lot, and I found orange selenite when I was in Los Angeles, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I carry it around like it's a baby little kitten because I love it so much. I have a broom. Oh, tell about my broom. This is from my wedding. I married the best person in the universe. And when he and I got married, we jumped over this. My friend Carol Brown Bear is an artist, and she made this beautiful thing for us. So it hangs over our front door. Super witchy up in here. My kids' friends come in and they're just like, something's going on with your mom. My favorite crystals are in quarantine. I'm building a fort of labradorite. I'm going to live in it. Where do I go from here? I'm working on 2 tarot decks because, I wrote 2 books last year, so I might as well keep that up because I'm crazy. My deck is coming out with Maggie Stiefvater in the fall from Llewellyn. It's called the Scorpio Sea Tarot. And then Kitchen Table Magic is coming out also in the fall. And I'm working on 2 tarot decks right now. My opinion on circle casting, I don't think you need to. But again, I think it's like bringing your buddies with you. If it helps calm you, and if you need sacred space, I think every space is sacred. My home is sacred, so I don't cast circles in it. If I was out at the park or something, I would, because that's not my space. So it's kind of like peeing on on an area to make it yours. Let's see. My husband is totally awesome. Let's see. I introduced my kids to magic because it's like, this is where they live. This is their house. If my son started building crystal grids by himself when he was 8 years old, without knowing what a crystal grid was, I saw some under his bed and I was like, buddy, you spilled your stones. And he was like, no, they help me sleep better. So I didn't really teach them so much as I encouraged their magic that they already had. So much love for the Scorpio Sea Tarot. It's going to be awesome. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yep, Cherry Garcia is the best. Yeah, Maggie's pretty cool. Cool. How did I come with the name Scorpio Sea Tarot? Haha, I didn't. Maggie has a book called The Scorpio Races, which is a wonderful, beautiful book. And it's set, am I a Slytherin? I will get to you in a minute. Also, who's with me in acknowledging that the Harry Potter books are now separate from their transphobic author? I'm going to pretend that Daniel Radcliffe wrote them, and that's it. She wrote a book called The Scorpio Races, and the book is based in the world where there are these ocean seahorses that can eat you. So the deck has like a manticore in it, and dragons and unicorn. And it also has a lot of family in it. And it's kind of about that little village where that book took place. And it's really wonderful. I am not a Slytherin. I'm a Ravenclaw. My daughter's a Slytherin, though. So big ups. We need snakes right now. But yeah, maximum effort. Yes, Deadpool. Thank you. You are also great. I thank you for getting the books. That's really nice. Palo Santo spray. Okay, so sage is like, careful with sage because first of all, it's indigenous. Secondly, it's endangered. Third, people get all pissed off when you use the word saged as a verb. I don't really understand it because I have used it my whole life and I know that things are changing, so I'm still learning. But I think that you can use anything. I think Palo Santo sticks or whatever. Spray is just as good. My daughter is not allowed to have to burn stuff over at her dad's house, so she uses the spray, and it works just fine. But I think research this stuff. I have the same sage bundle that I've had since I was, I think, 18. My dad saw it at my house. Was like, that is the biggest goddamn joint I've ever seen in my life. So I've been using it for a long time. But it's, we have to pay attention and learn. My family is Native American, but I'm not culturally so. And so I don't really have any room to talk about sage and its cultural repercussions. So I have to learn. I have to be a student. And I prefer sweetgrass. Let's see. Yeah, turfs can heck off. Oh, you're awesome. Ravenclaw? Yeah, Ravenclaw. My son's a Hufflepuff. My husband is a Gryffindor, and my daughter is a Ravenclaw, or is a kind of a Slytherin claw. Yeah, I like to burn things too, but you have to be super careful. See, I just learned that Palo Santo is also endangered. I'm learning. I tried to grow sage and I killed it. Really good witch. Really, yeah. Smoke cleansing is common in almost every faith. I researched it, but we got to be careful. Yeah, sweetgrass is awesome. Sweetgrass is something that grew in Kansas where I grew up, and my grandmother used to use it, and I loved it. So yeah, cool. Am I over time? Am I in trouble? Yeah, I killed my sage, and like I had lemongrass and I had sage, and I was like gonna be super witchy and had it at my front door, and I killed all of it. So this is why I buy my herbs, because I don't grow things. So yay. All right, cool. One more question. Who's got a question for Melissa? I like cedar too. You're welcome. Do you have to dry the sweetgrass? Yes. Yes, you do. Or else it's not going to work out. You braid it together, hang it up, let it dry. You're welcome. Yay, you're awesome. Cool. I loved my presentation too. You guys are awesome. Do your research. Don't ask me about sage. Ask the internet. All right. Thank you guys. Be safe. Take care of yourself and everybody else.